I welcome you to another Spring Tuesday. You know, Tuesdays is for my core teaching, and I'm going to continue on the talk of theism, talking about concept of God, talking about existence of God, and the argument, which I call theistic arguments. This is learnwithjoes, an academy of knowledge economy, and I still am Josephine, your digital educator. And some will say professor. This Tuesday, I'm introducing you to the arguments for God's existence. In theistic arguments, those who subscribe to the existence of God are known as theists. That is, theism is a concept, is what they believe in. For those who are atheists, that is, those who do not believe in the existence of God. So I'm introducing today the arguments for the existence of God. But I want you to know that not only Tuesday do we come out to teach, Fridays on this channel, I discuss important germane issues, lessons of life that are very critical to us as individuals, to us as families, something we can learn from, something we could imbibe. That's what I discuss on Fridays. And I have a policy on this my channel to present to you some PowerPoint presentations because of cultural differences in pronunciation, in diction. I want people to follow whatever I'm saying. If I'm teaching, I want you to understand exactly what I'm teaching. And that's why we call it an academy of knowledge economy, for in-depth understanding. And for you to be able to understand perfectly well what I'm saying, you need to follow exactly what I'm talking about. And that's why I show PowerPoint presentation. Today's teaching is not going to be very long, it's going to be short. Let's join learnwithjoes before we continue. I welcome you back. For those who are just joining me just now, I'm discussing today or teaching today arguments for God's existence. So just give me a second while I show my PowerPoint presentation. It's going to be very short. I'm not going to waste your time today. Arguments for God's existence. Like I said this introducing you to it. So this is just an introduction. By next Tuesday, I will go into those arguments proper. The question of whether we can have any reason to believe that God or some ultimate reality exists is central to the philosophy of religion. It's very, very central to philosophy of religion. Over the centuries, philosophers and theologians have advanced numerous arguments for God's existence. Why some contemporary philosophers of religion believe that the evidence provided by a particular argument is persuasive enough. Others are interested in seeing whether a cumulative case like that given in support of theories in science or history can be constructed for God's existence. Since the evidence from any one argument is not definitive. On the other hand, non-theists, as well as many theists, view the evidence presented by the arguments individually or collectively as quite weak. And then Anthony Flew once suggested 10 leaky buckets, even stacked together, ultimately cannot hold water. It's like using baskets. No matter how you pile up baskets, because baskets have holes. The way it's woven is with holes. So even if you pack 100 buckets, it cannot hold water. It's the same thing, like he's saying that even if you have leaky buckets, you stack them together, they still cannot hold water. Although more recently, even if he has changed his view about the evidence for God's existence, he himself, Anthony Flew, has changed his view about the existence of God's existence. Let's look at traditional propositions. Traditionally, theists have proposed two broad types of arguments for God's existence. We have what we call the priori arguments, and we have what we call the posterior arguments. Ontological and moral arguments are priori arguments because they move from premises about concepts, for example, from an idea of God's nature or perfections to a claim that something that is God really exists. And because from that premise, from concept from God's nature to reality of the existence of God, we call it priori arguments. Cosmological and teleological arguments are posterior arguments that begin with premises about things that exist. For example, the universe. The universe exists or has order. There is order in the universe. So each of these argument types comes in many versions. I will present only a few of them in subsequent teachings. I might not go into details, but I will be presenting all these priori arguments and the posterior arguments, even including moral arguments about God's existence. So that's all I have for you today, because I said today's lecture is going to be very short. I mean, I have something to do, and I know you all have something to do. So I wish you a very fantastic week. We're in spring and going in into summer. So continue to enjoy and be happy. Friday, join me on Friday. I'll be talking on the power of gratitude. We need to be grateful at all times. So don't miss it. Don't miss it. Friday is going to be wow, because I will be talking on power of gratitude. I'm giving you like 5 reasons to explain why it's so important and critical to have a grateful heart, to be gratitude. So have a blessed week. Thank you for joining me today.